Good morning. My name is Jason Buck. I'm the Business Development Director here at LT. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. We're super glad that you're here. Lean Bites are a short 16-minute talk where we're going to we work to provide you with simple, practical tips and techniques that you can start applying within your team or organization today. Before we get started, number one, if you have any questions, just drop them in the chat. We'll also try to have some time at the end that we can address those. And if we aren't able to, we will absolutely email with a follow-up for you as well. And also, two, do us a huge favor. At the end, there will be a survey that automatically pops up. If you could just put in your feedback, that is super important to us just to ensure that we're hosting events on topics that you care about and anything else that we may be able to improve on. So I'll turn it over now to our Director of Engineering here at LT, Scott Sauber, who will be presenting one-to-many, orchestrating multiple agents effectively. Scott, take it away.
Cool. Thanks, Jason. All right. So yeah, we're going to be talking about how you go from like orchestrating one agent to orchestrating many. So kind of playing on the one-to-many aspect that we're familiar with databases and now applying that to agents. So we're going to talk about like where are we at with today with AI, where things are going with multiple agents, and then some tools you can start using literally today after this call that you can download and start using as you kind of go through your agentic journey. So where we're at today, these days, for me personally, AI is writing 99% of my code. I'm still reviewing every single line, but it's still AI is writing 99% of my code. I find I'm easily 10x faster while keeping quality high. And I don't think I was slow before. Maybe I was, but like I think I'm easily a lot faster with AI. And usually I teach people starting with the CLI first. So whether you're on Copilot or Claude Code. I've been going around to different clients and internally and things like that, teaching people how to use AI. And what I find is if you're using like the IDE integrations or editor integrations, those leave a worse experience in general. But so usually I teach people how to use the CLI because you usually get better results. That comes with uh, as you're using AI to like write your code, that often comes with a challenge because you're waiting for AI to do something. Like you might give it a particular task or a story. Maybe you go back and forth with it a little bit, saying, hey, here's what I want. And then you start waiting, and it might take 10, 15, 20 minutes for it to finish what it was doing. So you might think to yourself, okay, what do I do during that time? Now, obviously, if you're a developer, you can go review pull requests, you can send emails, you can do other things. But oftentimes, maybe you don't have those things to do. So you're kind of like, okay, well, what do I do while AI is doing this? And so you oftentimes end up spinning up another agent to do another task and pick up another story and things like that. Now, I will say I don't go crazy, super crazy with this. Usually I have like 2 to 4 sessions going on at once. Like right now, I actually have 2 agents running while this presentation is going and doing some stuff in the background. But typically, once I get to like 3, I find like my context or I'm context switching a little bit too much and things like that as I'm actively doing things. So typically, I find I'm doing 2 to 4 things kind of at once. But as you're doing this through the CLI, that can be a little tough and kind of keeping track of what you're doing. So I'll show a tool called the GitHub Copilot app. There's other tools out there too, but that one, in my opinion, is probably like the best UI tool that's out there right now. And I'll show a few examples as to why that is. So for instance, like we just kicked off with a new agentic first delivery offering that we have with a new client on Monday. And they went from, we haven't bought the licenses yet to this just saved us a week in like 2.5 hours. So we went from like, they hadn't even bought the AI licenses yet to we picked up a story and they felt like that story doing it the way we were promoting saved them about a week of time. So we literally went from like 0 to this just saved us a week in just 2.5 hours. And we haven't even shown them all the good stuff quite yet. So that's kind of where things are at today and the kind of the uplift you can get. But you really need the guardrails in place. And this was true before AI. So I kind of think of AI as like a junior developer, a really smart junior developer. But the problem is like you need like automated tests, linters, code scanners, formatters, consistent architecture patterns in your code base, because all of these things keep both humans and AI on the Rails. Because if you have a junior developer and you say, hey, go make this change in this code base, and you don't have consistent patterns that you like to follow, well, they're probably going to just proliferate the patterns that already exist in the code base. And if you don't like the ones that are there, they're just going to add even more bad ones. So again, all these things are the same, whether you're talking AI or humans. And how do we create those guardrails to make, like to avoid slop that people have talked about and things like that. So part of this, we've got this agent ready assessment thing that we've been talking to people about that basically gives you like an assessment score of what you're doing and kind of like what are the different things to make those guardrails safe. So these are things that we're doing at our clients to show like progress from, hey, you started here and now you're here, just to allow you to have those guardrails in place to make things a little bit more safe. And once you're doing some of these things, then now running multiple agents becomes more palatable because you know that you can keep things on the rails. So where things are going right now, you're here, like I stay pretty plugged into what's going on in the AI space, and a lot of people are talking about these software factories that are getting created and how do we create those guardrails to make those changes safe. And again, these were good ideas before AI. Just it's just, now it's even when you can move as fast as you can move with AI, it becomes even more important. So I kind of look at us as like we're the orchestrators of the factory. Like we're not necessarily like on the factory floor moving things from one conveyor belt to another, things like that, but we're making sure that if somebody has questions or if there's problems, we help address those things and take care of those as those come in. And we get brought in for like judgment and taste and those kinds of things. So we move to kind of where the bigger problems are. And that's kind of where I see things going with like AI agents too. And it's already here, but like as you start spinning up multiple agents, that's where kind of things that you want to get brought into is what are those bigger problem things? Because ideally, you shouldn't be telling your AI agent, "Hey, go write automated tests." Instead, you should have guardrails to enforce that they have to write automated tests, otherwise they aren't done. So it's kind of like assigning a task to an intern or junior is kind of how I think about giving tasks to AI agents is you might assign tasks, they ask you some questions initially, and then they go off and do some work. And then, you talk to another one, you kind of give it tasks, answer some questions, then they go off and do some work. And they might come back midway through and be like, hey, I've got this question as I was going through this. What should I do here? And you answer it. So you're kind of that orchestrator of those different interns and juniors and kind of giving them guidance on what to do. So with some of those things in place, I'm going to propose this, and this is just an AI skill, which is basically like a way to automate part of a workflow. Has some different uses too, but I created a skill called Ship It. And the idea behind it is you kind of go through this multiple steps. So the first one is you run this skill called Grill Me. This is an open source skill and on a particular like GitHub issue or Jira issue or free text. So the idea is you just say /ship it, Jira ID 123, and then it kind of starts you off in this workflow. And these different emojis are, this is the human in the loop, and then we'll get into robots where the AI is taking over. Then kind of once you go back and forth and like, let's say you have the issue and your issue says, hey, put this button on the screen. Well, that's really not a good, effective way of doing that because, there's a lot of ambiguity there of like, well, what is the what color is the button? What should the button do? What screen are you talking about? So Grill Me kind of gets you out all of that ambiguity. So then you are more specific, which again was a good idea pre-AI. Like saying put a button on the screen wasn't a good story pre-AI either. And AI needs to know some of these things. So once you approve the plan, it goes on an auto mode or autopilot mode where it just kind of continues going autonomously. It creates a Git new work tree, which is a feature in Git, basically a branch on steroids. So then you can work on multiple things at once. Because by default with Git branches, you can only work on one thing at a time versus work trees, you can work on multiple at a time. Implement the plan, basically run the verification, and basically step 4 is like do all the coding. And everything else from here on out is basically like how do we verify it? So like do the tests all still pass? If they don't, fix them. Run like a code review locally. If you're not sure about something on the code review, present it back to me as the human so then I can make a judgment call on what it's doing, run a security review, again, present anything back to me you're not sure about, and then open up a draft pull request with a particular pull request formats, because by default AI will create, huge pull requests with like 50 sentences, and I only want like 4 or 5 sentences on those. Kind of watch for any build errors. Check for any code review comments, fix any comments. If you're not sure about any of those comments, present those to my review, and then notify me when the PR is green. Because if it's not green, like a test is failing, I want you to like just go fix it, and then mark it as ready to review. And then again, I get back in the loop and approve and request the changes. So I just want you to look like at a glance. This is kind of how you can automate not just a particular task, but also a workflow and have some of these agents run more autonomously. And if you're using the latest tools and the latest models, this is absolutely doable from that perspective. If you want to learn more about it, just hit me up. But this is kind of what I'm kicking off my agents to be doing. So with that, let's look at a demo on running multiple agents. So, and I'm not going to do a full demo because honestly, that would take longer than what we have here, but I just want to show the GitHub Copilot app, for instance. So you can just Google GitHub Copilot app. This is straight from GitHub/Microsoft. And there's a few different things in here. I've deleted all of my normal stuff in here for this demo. But like, for instance, there's this automations thing, which basically you can set up these automations to say like, hey, go look at my code base and give me a summary of what we've been doing. Tell me any open pull requests that are here, any open issues, and like, what should I focus on today from this repo perspective? But you can do anything you want. You can just come in here and create like a new automation and, plug in how often you want it to run, what you want it to do, and kind of give you a summary digest of, hey, here's what happened yesterday. Here's what I think you should focus on today, which is super handy. Again, so you can focus on the most important things and not like managing agents manually. So I want to show a few different things. So you can also, in the Copilot app, you can manage multiple sessions. So normally if you're in the CLI, this would be multiple like CLI tabs that you have open. But you're probably familiar with this from like ChatGPT and things like that. So I can come in here and say like, hey, I want you to fix the build's broken. Please fix this. And it goes through its different iterations and things like that. But something kind of interesting is I had a bunch of dependencies that needed updated. So I just said, hey, go fix or go like merge all these dependencies if all my tests pass and I'm confident that everything works. And oh, by the way, create this UI that shows me what's the current status is. So this is kind of like a meta thing where you're using, so this concept is called canvases in GitHub Copilot, but this is where you're using an AI tool to add a new feature to that AI tool. Like this is not native to the GitHub Copilot app. I just had it create this UI for me dynamically to help me manage my task and like what the current status of it was. So I can see like, hey, these have been merged, but like these two are in the middle of fixing a conflict, and it can kind of manage those things. But obviously you can have it do whatever that you want and like have it create new features within the app itself, which is kind of like a mind-blowing thing that it's like creating this on the fly. And literally all I told it to do is like, uh, hey, monitor the status of these PRs and get them in a state to merge and merge them one by one and show me a UI that shows me the current progress. And then it went off and created this. So again, not going to show that live because we're out of time, but wanted to running low on time, but wanted to like show that concept because I think this is like one of the differentiating things of the GitHub Copilot app is being able to like add features to it essentially on the fly. But I also wanted to show when I did the ship it workflow that I showed earlier. So to show what I said earlier is basically I just said /ship it. So what I did was /ship it, add a to-do list. So that's literally what I said. And then it walked through all these different questions it asked me about like, okay, do you want a due date on your to-dos and all of those kinds of things. And what's nice in the Copilot app is it doesn't have a ton of IDE features because AI is writing most of the code for you. But it does have, again, this like canvas feature. So I can actually see the running app locally over here. And so I can see what the feature was. I can interact with it. I can do all the different things. And again, I'm using that all within the Copilot app. So I kind of have this seamless pane of glass of what I'm using the Copilot app for, and I can look at the diffs and things like that. I can look at the PR that it created. So this is like my summarized version of the pull request. So like I kind of wanted to just show you these different pieces of like how you can leverage tools like the Copilot app to automate different parts of your workflow and manage multiple agents. Because really, what you care about is like, what is the change that was made? How did it do it? Is that the right way to do it? And then, like, does the app actually work how I expect, or should, like, maybe I want this to be not crossed out when I check it, or whatever the case is. How do I focus on the things that actually matter and less on the manual to doing of like writing the code and things like that. So I found that the Copilot app's really nice for allowing me to tailor my workflow to that high level orchestrator that I was talking about versus, hands-on keyboard making the code changes and things like that. Um, so that's kind of a quick demo, quick lap around the Copilot app. I could spend like all day talking about this and different things I can do, but I'm trying to fit it all in like what ended up being like a 5 minute demo out of 60 minutes. But hopefully that gets you kind of excited to kind of look into that more. So some takeaways from today. The guardrails that make AI safe, because again, we're creating these like software factories. So how do we automate as much as possible to keep AI on the rails? Because otherwise it will kind of go off and do its own thing. Managing multiple agents, if you're not doing that today, I think that is the future. But again, you need those guardrails because otherwise you're going to be automating things that aren't, or you're going to be managing things that could be automated. So you want to move yourself like at a higher level. I mentioned like you can automate tasks like in that big workflow that I had. Like each one of those was a task, but you can actually orchestrate those together to make a workflow and automate some of those while still involving the human in the loop. Because I still believe you still got to look at the code, you still got to know what it's doing, and all those kinds of things. You should not be just blindly trusting AI at this point. And then if you want the Copilot app, if you can just go to this link, github.io/app, and download that app. So with that, yeah, I'll turn it back over to Jason. If you want to add me on LinkedIn or you want to continue the conversation, feel free to add me on LinkedIn, send me a message, or shoot me an email. Happy to chat about anything. If it's not obvious, I like talking about this stuff. So
That's awesome. Thank you, Scott. I keep thinking of the movie Inception when you have AI doing AI things to the AI to make AI different. It's fantastic. So that's really good. I like it. We didn't see any questions come through in the chat, but if anybody wants to stick around, we can kind of talk for a little bit more. If anybody has any questions, go ahead and come off mute, or you can put them in there, and we can read them out to everybody. We were talking a little bit of while we're having these questions come through. We were talking a little bit about the one to many, right? If you are starting with the one, if you need help with the one, we've been helping tons of clients get to that point, and it's been absolutely mind-blowing and a real game changer for our partners. So if you have any questions about that, please reach out to us. Like Scott said, he's more than excited to come chat with you about it. I've seen it a number of times, and it's pretty cool the smiles that come across the faces of our partners once they see some of the things that they can do. So with that, we'll close out this month's Lean Bites, and we'll look forward to seeing you next month. Thanks all.
thanks, everybody.